Unless you live under a rock, you probably have heard of or are already watching Invincible. Invincible is an adult animated superhero show created by Robert Kirkman that is currently airing its third season on Amazon Prime right now. While the series is wildly popular, its third season has received a lot of scrutiny for its underwhelming animation. Impressive animation sequences has never been what this show has been known for. However, with season 3, public reception seems to be that the animation for this series has only gotten worse with each installment. While I do agree that the animation leaves a lot to be desired, I feel that the story and characters have remained strong enough to keep my interest throughout. Pantheon is another animated series that you might not be as familiar with. It's a sci-fi story that takes place in a near future that explores the moral implications of uploading one's consciousness to the internet. This series is not nearly as popular as Invincible, and it's still finding its audience, so I won't go too deep into spoilers for this conversation, but you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. With Pantheon's second season recently being added to Netflix, the series has started to grow in popularity, as it should. I've noticed that the conversation around Pantheon is that it's groundbreaking storytelling with a rich premise and strong characters to latch onto. However, what I haven't heard being discussed about this series is its animation. Pantheon's animation style is as simple as Invincible's, and in my opinion, they have very comparable levels of details, shading, and general approach to their character models. I've noticed that in the case of Invincible, this is an aspect that fans can't seem to get over, but with Pantheon, fans are able to look right past its lackluster animation to enjoy what the story has to offer beyond that. Why is this? I want to explore the aspects that lead to this disparity in audience perception when it comes to these two shows that are, in my opinion, both great in their own right, but both also look 10 years behind the current industry standard for animation. For starters, I think it's important to look at the budgets when discussing this type of topic. With the current internet space, fans are often very in the know when it comes to the production progress of a particular series, especially when it comes to one as popular as Invincible. Because Invincible is an Amazon Prime project, the audience is well aware that this is being produced by one of the largest companies in the world on a platform that has garnered a reputation for releasing consistently quality content. So when episodes are put out that the average viewer can notice a lack of overall quality within its animation, it clashes with the expectation that this property should have a large budget or at least a large team allocated to working on it. I myself have wondered, how is it possible that this show looks like it was released in 2013, yet it's one of the more popular shows on Amazon Prime in 2025? Looking at Pantheon, the series was made by AMC Plus. That's right, AMC has its own dedicated streaming service, something I was unaware of until I heard about this show in particular. So there's no big team or reputable service behind the production of Pantheon. So when viewers do find the series, they aren't weighed down by the expectation of a high-budget project, but instead approach it just looking for an interesting and engaging story. It's worth mentioning that Invincible does have an all-star voice cast. Season 3 saw the inclusion of Aaron Paul taking on an amazing voice acting role, as well as series regulars J.K. Simmons, Jason Mantzoukas, and Steven Yeun. It could be argued that Invincible chooses to allocate its budget more towards its voice acting cast over the animation. I'm not sure if that's 100% what's going on behind the scenes, but I do think that that is an aspect of it. An aspect that is true, but isn't a good enough excuse overall. Now listen, I do love the voice acting on the series. I do think it's an area in which that it shines. However, I know that there are plenty of amazing voice actors working in the industry right now that could do this series and these characters justice. And I do think that Invincible would be much more positively received if they put some of their budget from the celebrity cast in exchange for maybe 20% better animation. I think another aspect to how these shows are received simply comes down to the genre of storytelling that they both fit into. Invincible is another superhero story, releasing in a time where we have stuff like the MCU and the DCEU with animated and live action TV shows and movies that are telling superhero stories that all have stellar animation and action sequences. Not to mention the anime space tells similar stories to Western superhero stories while continuing to up the bar for what animation is year by year. Because Invincible is essentially a satirical spin on other superhero stories, viewers are automatically expecting a certain level of quality when it comes to its visual storytelling, and Invincible unfortunately falls short of those expectations. Pantheon, however, is more of a sci-fi psychological thriller blend of genre that feels closer to watching Black Mirror than it does watching anything in the MCU. The story is much more grounded and meant to resemble a world closer to our own, and most of the story takes place in a physical world without the need to showcase anything beyond normal humans navigating their own world. Because its storytelling is so grounded, audiences are more invested in the plot and characters than they would be in the action. I want to be clear, I don't hate either of the animation in Invincible or Pantheon. I think that they are serviceable to the stories that each one wants to tell. That being said, it is easy to feel that they are lacking when you compare it to some of the other amazing animated projects that we've gotten in the last few years. The bar for animation is constantly rising, and I think that the animation industry as a whole is still trying to find its balance with all of the technological advances we've had recently. Both shows are still some of my favorite personal series that I'm watching at the moment, and I would love to see a future where both series takes its animation and increases the quality alongside of the quality that's already there for the narrative and characters in each of the respective projects. I know the animation industry is not an easy one, so I say all this with no hate whatsoever to the animators that worked on these projects. I just find it interesting to look at all of these different aspects that go into production of animated projects and how they affect the audience and how the audience receives them as a whole. That's just about going to bring this conversation to a close, but I do want to open the conversation to you. Have you seen these series, and how do you feel about their animation overall? Do you prefer Invincibles to Pantheons, or do you even think that Pantheon does a better job than Invincible with its animation? I do want to do a dedicated video for Pantheon on this channel soon, so if you are a Pantheon fan, be on the lookout for that. But I think that's pretty much it for today. Let me know how you're feeling about Invincible. Let me know how you're feeling about Pantheon. Maybe I'm just going too hard on animation right now, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. Like and subscribe, and remember that I love you.